19-year marriage ends after wife's affair with college ex exposed by messages popping up on her iPad. I never thought I'd be telling this story. It happened last fall when I was using our iPad to check flight prices. I opened the browser and noticed her Instagram was still logged in. A notification popped up. "You have a new message." I wasn't trying to snoop, but there was the name of someone I didn't recognize. Something made me click it. I felt like I'd been punched when I saw them. A series of flirty messages and photos between my wife and some guy. The photo location tag showed Dallas, where she supposedly went for a wellness retreat 5 years ago. I remembered that trip clearly because it was a date night for us because of our anniversary. She had insisted the retreat couldn't be missed since her therapist recommended it for her mental health. I sat down hard in the office chair. My hands were shaking as I picked up the iPad. The screen had more photos waiting to be scrolled through. With one swipe, my entire world changed. There they were, kissing. Not a friendly peck, a full-on passionate kiss. My stomach twisted into knots. 19 years together. Just to discover this, I left the iPad exactly as I found it. When she came home, I acted normal. We ate dinner together. We watched a show, all while the image of her kissing another man burned in my mind. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there wondering how many other wellness retreats were just excuses. How many other men might there have been? The next morning, I waited until she left for work. Then I started looking deeper. First, I checked our old credit card statements going back a few years. There it was, a hotel charge in Dallas from a few years ago. But the hotel was different from the wellness center she claimed to be staying at. I also found dinner charges at expensive steakhouses, far more than she would spend on herself during a health retreat. Then I did something I never thought I would do. I logged into her email using the password we'd shared for years. In her archived folder, I found emails from someone. The subject lines were innocent. Wellness retreat info or Dallas accommodations. But the content was anything but innocent. "Can't wait to hold you again after all these years. Our special weekend will be just like college, only better." College? That's when it hit me. I searched through her Facebook friends list, and there he was, her old college ex-boyfriend. I knew how he looked because she showed a picture of him to me a while ago. The one she said was just a phase. They had reconnected somehow, planned this whole weekend together 5 years ago on our anniversary, while I was home alone thinking she was bettering her mental health. The betrayal cut deeper, knowing it wasn't some random fling. It was calculated, with someone from her past, someone she had history with. I spent the day gathering more evidence, screenshots of their Instagram conversations, downloaded their message history, saved copies of emails, credit card statements, Google Maps timeline data that showed her real locations, all without saying a word to anyone. The next week was the hardest of my life. I went to work, came home, pretended everything was normal. But inside, I was breaking apart. I started looking at all our photos from the past 5 years, searching for signs, changes in behavior. There were subtle shifts I hadn't noticed before, times when she was distant, weekends when she seemed preoccupied. I checked our phone records next. There it was, a number that appeared regularly for months before the Dallas trip, then again several times after, always followed by a work trip, 4 other trips over 5 years, Boston, Orlando, Sacramento, Miami. I cross-referenced each with our calendar. Each trip aligned with times she said she had wellness retreats, meditation workshops, or therapy intensives. Each time, there were various charges at places different from where these events were actually held. I couldn't attend because of a family emergency with my mom. From there, emails grew more frequent, more personal, more intimate. I discovered she had a second email account, The password was the name of her first dog plus her birth year. Easy to figure out. This account contained everything: explicit messages, plans for their meetups, photos they shared. I felt sick reading them. I learned they had been intimate during each of those 5 supposed wellness retreats. Her affair partner was married too. They discussed how to keep their affairs secret, how to cover their tracks. In one message, she belittled me and complained how her life with me had become boring, how her old college ex-boyfriend made her feel alive again, like they were back in college. Each revelation was another dagger, another piece of my life revealed as a lie. I wondered if there were other affairs I didn't know about, other men, but the evidence pointed to just her old college ex-boyfriend, their college romance rekindled. I looked at our wedding photos that hung in the hallway, her smiling face as we cut the cake, the promises we made. I contacted a lawyer, quietly, without her knowledge. I gathered financial documents, made copies of everything important, opened my own bank account, and changed my direct deposit. The lawyer advised me on the best approach. The evidence was clear, undeniable. My next step would be the confrontation, but I wanted everything in place first. No warning, no chance for more lies, no opportunity for her to rewrite our history. Just the cold, hard truth laid bare between us. 3 weeks after discovering the photos, I was ready. I took the day off work. She didn't know I'd be home. I created a digital folder on our laptop, named it Our Marriage. Inside, I organized everything: the screenshots of Instagram messages, the email exchanges with her affair partner, the credit card statements, the phone records, the Google Maps timeline showing where she really was, all meticulously labeled and dated. I set up the laptop on her side of the bed. Beside it, I placed our wedding photo, face down. When she walked into the bedroom that evening, she froze. Her eyes went from me sitting in the corner to the open laptop. She flinched visibly, her shoulders tensing. No words were needed. She knew. I gestured to the screen. She slowly sat down on the edge of the bed. Her hands trembled as she clicked through the first file, a screenshot of her private conversation with her affair partner about their Dallas weekend. Her shoulders slumped. I watched as she looked through each document, each piece of evidence. Her eyes filled with tears, regret maybe, or just the shock of consequences finally arriving. When she finished looking through everything, she stared at the floor. For 10 minutes, neither of us spoke. Finally, she reached for her purse, pulled out a notepad, wrote something down, and passed it to me. I never meant to hurt you. I pushed it back without writing a response. She wrote again. It was a mistake that got out of control. Again, I pushed the paper back. Words seemed pointless now. She looked at me, waiting for rage, for yelling, for something. But I felt empty, beyond anger. I stood up and walked to the door. I pulled my packed weekend bag from the closet. She hadn't even noticed it waiting there. She looked up from the laptop, her face streaked with tears. She was crying for herself, not us. She reached toward me, but I pushed her hand away from me forcefully. No dramatic exit speech, no final cutting remark, just the sound of my footsteps as I walked down the hall. I called my lawyer from the car. The divorce process had begun. My lawyer filed the papers that afternoon. I sent a brief email to my family, to our friends. Simple facts, no emotional details. Many were shocked. Some had suspected problems, though no one knew the extent. My brother offered his guest room until I found a new place. I accepted. The initial shock gave way to a hollow feeling. 19 years, nearly 2 decades of memories. She tried calling multiple times. I didn't answer. She sent emails explaining herself. I deleted them unread. There was nothing left to say, nothing that could undo what had been done. The divorce was not that bad. I kept the house. She didn't want it. We split all the furniture. She got the bedroom set. and living room set, half of our savings. She didn't touch it, and 40% of the equity in the house when it sells. She wanted alimony. We live in a no-fault divorce state, but we can file on fault-based grounds, and that's what we did. She didn't get a damn dime. We had no children to consider. 4 months after finding those photos, I was legally single again at 47 years old, starting over. The hardest part wasn't the legal proceedings. It was the questions from friends, family members, co-workers. Everyone wanted to know what happened. I kept my answers vague. We grew apart, irreconcilable differences, the standard phrases. The truth was no one's business but ours. Her affair with her old college ex-boyfriend eventually came to light anyway, not through me, through mutual friends who saw them together before our divorce was even final. They were openly dating now. No more secret meetups, no more fake wellness retreats and therapy weekends. I focused on rebuilding, found a new condo, redecorated with nothing from our shared past. Fresh start, fresh space. Slowly, the pain began to dull, not disappear, just become more manageable. 6 months after moving out, I received a package. Inside was a handwritten letter from her and her wedding ring. I read the letter once. She wrote about regret, about losing the best thing in her life, about her affair partner ending their relationship once it was no longer forbidden, about the karma of it all. I felt no satisfaction reading it, no vindication, just a weary acceptance that some things can't be fixed, can't be undone. I put the letter and the ring in a box, stored it in the back of my closet, not as a keepsake, just as a reminder of lessons learned. 1 year after the discovery, I went on my first date. It felt strange, awkward, but also hopeful. I was cautious with my trust, but not closed off to possibilities. The divorce taught me something important. Life doesn't end with betrayal. It changes, transforms. Sometimes it even improves. I'll never be grateful for what happened, never appreciate the deception, but I've come to recognize that the end of my marriage freed me from a lie. I was living in a false reality for years. Now at least I live in truth. Sometimes I think about those messages that popped up on her iPad, how technology revealed what might have stayed hidden forever, how one notification changed everything, but I don't dwell on it. The past has had enough of my energy. The future deserves it more. 19 years ended with the chance discovery, a marriage built on what turned out to be shifting sand. But from that collapse, I built something stronger, a life that's authentically mine. Commentary. Some men will call this guy a simp, but what stood out to me, he didn't reconcile with her. He kept digging, got his evidence, and filed for divorce. And it sounded like he silently confronted her with the laptop. No unnecessary dialogue. Most men outside of YouTube will try to figure out what went wrong, offer marriage counseling. Let's try to work through it, even when they are not the problem. But he didn't do any of that. People will still criticize him, even with what I just said. I won't criticize him because he got the fuck out.